Günaydın arkadaşlar. Good morning, everyone. I'm very excited to be here today to talk to you about digital currencies. So, I wanted to start with a quote, and I'm going to be speaking in English today, so hopefully that's okay. But I want to start with a quote from Thomas Jefferson, who was one of the founding fathers of America. And he said, "I believe that banking institutions are more dangerous to our liberties than standing armies. The issuing power of money should be taken away from banks and restored to the people to whom it properly belongs." So today, everything I'm going to be talking about has to do with taking power from centralized bodies and giving it back to people. The idea of decentralization and what that might mean for the future of money. So throughout this conference, I've been amazed at the wide variety of topics that all of these speakers have spoken about. Many of them deal with technology, with changes that technology is driving in our world, and over the last few decades, changes in how we communicate, changes in how we share information, changes in how we live our lives have led to great advancements that have lifted billions of people out of poverty. But the one thing that has never changed throughout the course of human history is the idea of money. Money has always been tied to kings and queens, emperors, rulers, governments. And I always ask myself the question, what if? What if we changed the way that money worked? So in 2008, Ahmad also talked about this, in 2008 something happened in the US. The entire banking sector, the entire financial sector collapsed. And it forced people around the world to reevaluate the role that banks and financial institutions and governments play in our financial lives. So this is a picture of the Lehman Brothers sign being carried into an auction house. Banks were collapsing, and the people who paid the price weren't bankers, they weren't governments. It was you and me and the rest of the world. It was people at the bottom of the social pyramid who paid the price for this financial failure. And in 2009, what happened, there was an anonymous white paper that was posted online that talked about a new digital money system called Bitcoin. And it was this weird idea, and for years, people laughed at it. I learned about Bitcoin in 2011. I played around with it, because I'm a nerd. I thought it was interesting. But I said, this is crazy, this will never work. And in 2013, I started buying Bitcoin. Bitcoin then was around $200. And I said, you know what, maybe I'll lose all of my money, but if this actually works, maybe I'll make a lot of money, this could be interesting. In 2015, I started working in the industry. I started investing in Bitcoin and blockchain companies. And now in 2017, I'm launching my own fund to invest in digital currencies. So Bitcoin has really taken off and sparked not only a new set of thinking around how money works, but it's launched an entire new generation of companies that are revolutionizing the way that value in our world works. So what is Bitcoin? What is this idea? What makes it so special? Bitcoin is peer-to-peer. So if I want to transact with you, I am able to do that without going through a bank or a corporation or another entity. This is true commerce, the way it's existed since the beginning of time. Second, it's open source software, meaning anyone can contribute to it and anyone can view the code. Third, it's a decentralized public ledger, meaning there's a record of everything that's happened with Bitcoin since the start of time, and it can't be rewritten, no one can edit it, no one can erase it, and this is a very valuable property to have. Fourth, it's mathematically scarce. So if we think about what makes gold valuable, gold is something that's physically scarce. But gold is something that is very difficult to carry, it's very difficult to transport. Bitcoin is similar, it's scarce, but it's digital, meaning it's easy to transport, it's easy to transfer. Fifth, it's cryptographically secure, meaning the security, the mathematics of how it works, very difficult to attack the network and sort of hack into it. Sixth, it's widely available. So if I have a phone and an internet connection, I can use the Bitcoin network to conduct transactions. That's pretty amazing. And then seventh, and what's most exciting to me, is it's widely available. All around the world, people are using Bitcoin to conduct transactions. They're using it as a store of value. And then lastly, what I think is really important for everyone here to understand is Bitcoin started an idea that we could take philosophical and social values like fairness, like censorship resistance, like anti-fragility, and express them in code that formed a new monetary system. What Bitcoin is not is equally important to understand. It's not a person, it's not a company, it's not a government, it's not an institution. There's no leader, there's no central party, it's not issued by an authority, it's not correlated to other assets, so in times of great volatility, it's a safe haven asset. You can't shut it down. To shut down Bitcoin, you would have to find the tens of thousands of computers around the world who run the code and shut them all down, or take down the internet. And then lastly, it's not susceptible to inflation. It is the world's first deflationary currency because you can't make more of it. So why do we need something like this? Let's talk about recent events in our world. There is a war on cash that's happening. Governments are slowly going through the process of removing physical cash from monetary systems. In India, recently, the 500 and 1,000 rupee bills were banned. The European Union is exploring implementing a rule that would make transacting over 3,000 euros at a time in cash illegal. And then Australia is looking at removing the $100 bill from circulation. All of these changes mean that it becomes more and more challenging for me to engage in a transaction with someone without a government, a bank, or a corporation standing in the middle of that transaction. I would be scared if I were you. I'm scared. Second, one thing that's really important is financial privacy. If we think about the way that we use money, there are deeply personal decisions we make every single day about how we choose to spend the money that we earn. For example, if I wanted to donate to WikiLeaks, that's potentially a very risky thing to do if I live in a place in the world where my government is against WikiLeaks. So WikiLeaks actually recently started accepting 2 digital currencies, Zcash and Monero, that have privacy features embedded in them that make it difficult to track who's contributing and donating, thereby protecting financial privacy of users. The Wikimedia Foundation, which supports Wikipedia, accepts Bitcoin, which enables people around the world who may not have access to credit cards or PayPal to be able to contribute to this very important open source library. Third, reducing dependence on banks is becoming increasingly important. In an environment where banks are used as tools for political and social agendas, it's important to have ownership of your own financial assets. So during the financial crisis, the Bank of Cyprus actually took a 20% haircut on all bank deposits. So you went to bed at night and you had 100,000 euros in your savings account, and you woke up the next day and you had 80,000 euros. That's not fair. Right now in Catalonia, what's happening in Spain, banks are threatening to freeze the assets of Catalonians. And then most frighteningly for me is in Britain, banks are now cracking down on the bank accounts of illegal immigrants, particularly those from Ghana, in an attempt to force them out of Britain by forcing them out of the financial system. And then lastly, inflation. So I'm Turkish. I remember when I would come to Turkey and $1 was 1 lira. Today, that's not the case. So here are some examples from Nigeria, from Somaliland, where you actually see someone using a wheelbarrow to buy something because the money is so worthless, and from Venezuela. Printing money is a curse. It has led to monetary systems where we, the citizens, suffer as a result of governments incurring debts that they can't repay. So the question then becomes, okay, Bitcoin, maybe that's a little out there for you, maybe you're not that excited about it, but we were able to use Bitcoin to create a new financial system, one that's non-political and one that's open and accessible to anyone who has a mobile phone. So what else is possible if we decentralize money? This is what I'm excited about. So digital currencies at their core, what they are is they're a store of value. So if I hold digital currencies, I assume over time they will hold their value or become more valuable as more people use them. Second, they're a payment rail, meaning that I can use them to transact with others and I can exchange these currencies for goods and services. And then third, they're supported by distributed ledgers, also called blockchains, that store data about transactions. And so what digital currencies do is they provide the building blocks that we can use to build new systems. Not just new monetary systems, but new models for commerce, for marketplaces, for social systems, for political systems. And this is very exciting. But I want to highlight that innovation is certainly a process. Bitcoin has been around for 8 years, and we're still in its infancy. There's a lot of work that's been done. Successive layers of startups and entrepreneurs have built on top of this Bitcoin network. They've invented new digital currencies. They've built new technologies. They've enabled users to use this technology. And this has taken a long time. And everyone here in this room can participate in helping to build this new system. There are many digital currencies today, so the largest one by far is Bitcoin. Bitcoin today has close to $75 billion market cap. At the start of this year, it was about $25 billion, so it's been a good year for everyone who owns Bitcoin. But there are over 1,100 different digital currencies. The total market cap of the entire digital currency market is around $150 billion. In comparison, the market cap for gold is around $7 trillion. So we have a long way to go. And the top 15 digital currencies represent 90% of the market cap. So there's a very long tail of digital currencies that are still in their infancy. But what's really exciting is all of these digital currencies do very different things. So we have systems like Bitcoin that act like money. They create financial systems. We have things like Ethereum that create platforms that can be used for all sorts of new programming. Then on top of these systems, we have other applications that can be used as the building blocks for new types of systems. Distributed file storage, data attestations, new ways to domain namespace, so new ways to sort of think about structuring the internet. Building new identity systems that are decentralized, identities not issued by governments. And then there are a variety of applications in the gaming space, in the advertising space, peer-to-peer lending, that are all being revolutionized by digital currencies. And we're really reimagining the way that networks work. And the next generation of platforms and applications that are going to be built will be built with decentralized networks, these blockchains, and they'll be fueled by digital currencies. So what are you going to build? How can you participate? I really wanted everyone to take away a few concrete actions. You can start reading and learning. Medium and Reddit are two great places to go to learn more about digital currencies. You can start following people who are working in this industry. Get on Twitter. There's a lot of dialogue happening there, especially here in Turkey. Join Slack groups. Every digital currency, every blockchain that's being built tends to have its own Slack community where you can join, ask questions, read what people are posting. If you want to try investing, you can buy as little as $5, $10 of Bitcoin. Don't invest more than you're willing to lose. You should expect to lose it all. That is my investment advice. Start working in the industry. There are lots of jobs posted on platforms like AngelList and LinkedIn, and there are digital currency companies all over the world, throughout the MENA region especially. And then lastly, start building. It's not difficult. You don't have to be a coder. You don't have to be a programmer. All you have to do is be curious and ask why. So if we can change the future of money, I think this is the most powerful thing we will do in our generation. So I invite you all to join me. I'll be around all day if you want to talk or have questions. Thank you.